So today's a good day because although I'm in Nashville, Sheri Bankston is in California. Hi, Sheri.
Hello, Doug. How are you?
I'm good. And I'm delighted that you could take a few minutes in your lovely hotel to talk about your life, your career, how you're using signature strengths and all that. So let me introduce you. You tell me what's inaccurate. All right. So I know that you're based in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, that you run all the instructional design and the training for the Safety Alliance Council, that you've been at it for a long time. You're well regarded. I know a lot of personal stuff I'm not going to share, but is that what I shared so far pretty accurate?
Pretty accurate, yes. At Alliance, I'm Director of Education Innovation, and that's e-learning and instructor-led courses and the instructors. So it's anything to do with education, I guess.
Have you done these little Zoom conversations with anybody before, or is this a new thing for you?
I've done some Zoom conversations, none recorded, but I have done several Zoom conversations.
Well, you're daring, I know, to a degree, and in our coaching work, you've certainly developed a number of different skills that you've worked on. So a minute ago, I asked you about your signature strengths, and you said, oh yeah, I took that via assessment, and you pulled them up. So do you remember what your signature strengths are?
I do. My top 5 were fairness, leadership, bravery, honesty, and judgment. And all of those, as I read it, it resonated very well with me because that's who I am. So.
And have you used those 5 words as you introduce yourself to people? I don't know.
I have, it's particularly the top one. When I took the test, this was one that before I took it, you knew what was going to be my number 1. And when I took the test, it came back, it was the number 1. And I've actually, the timing is really interesting of taking the test. We, shortly after taking the test, we had our performance coaching. So I had several people to coach. So fairness came up a whole lot, as well as some of the other things, but we did focus a lot on that. So I've done a lot of talking about it lately.
So you're sharing this fairness. How are you sharing it?
Well, when, you and I have done a lot of coaching, so there's situations that have come up, and what I'm hearing from those that I've met with, they have a lot of similar issues. So I'm a big person. I'm big on sharing my own experiences. So this being a fairly recent experience, talked a lot about what I've learned and tried to share some of the techniques that you've shared with me to some of my team members as they work on their interpersonal relationships and team building and all of that good stuff.
One of my coaches does the same with me. I don't think I've ever told you that.
I don't think that you have.
And I think we cascade leadership skills. Just as you find something that works, you were very impressive to me because you're one of the few coaches or clients I've had who always wrote out your weekly form. This is what came up for me. This is what's important. This is what I want to focus on today. And that level of accountability is quite rare. What do you think that says about Sheri Bankston or fairness or your strengths?
Well, I have our CEO has told me that I'm a black and white person, a rule follower. So if you tie that in with all of the other things, it just sums up who I am. So I am big on following rules. So and you and I have talked. I'm very much a process person. So the process for the coaching was that, if we're going to maximize what we're going to do with it, these are the steps that you need to follow to do that. And so my goal was to get as much out of our conversations as possible. And so I followed those rules. And I guess, what does it say about Sheri Bankston? It says that I'm easily pegged because I was told that that's what I was, and that's what I'm turning out to be. So
others would say it's the validity of the assessment. Who knows?
It definitely is that. So I would highly recommend it because I'm all about soul searching and learning about myself. So I welcome any opportunity to have to take assessments that can tell me a little bit more about myself. Mainly so that I can know how I can deal with other people. What adjustments can I make to myself to help me more effectively communicate with other people. I think, early on in my career, I was more focused on changing other people, and definitely through coaching, one of the things that I've learned is you can't worry about other people. You have to focus on the things that you have control over. And that's something that you've helped me a whole lot with. So.
Thanks, but we both know you've done all the work here. So it's that person in the mirror, right?
That's who it's all about.
Yeah, that's right. So wrap this up. What would you say to somebody who's a little resistant to leveraging their own strengths and maybe thinking about flourishing or thinking about professional development? You're an advocate, but you walked into this as an advocate, and you care about learning and you care about sharing learning with your directs. What would you say to that person who's a little resistant?
For me, don't resist, because it's the key to success, in my opinion, in this area. If you ignore learning about yourself and you're focusing on others, then and this is still something that I'm learning. So, you know very well that I slip and trip and fall a whole lot. So, but what I have learned is that when I focus on the things that I can change, if I get to know myself a little better, if I take the advice, take the opportunities that I've had to take good advice, which is usually focused on the things that I can do, tools that I can use to work with other people, that's where you're going to be the most effective, I guess. Because one thing is for sure, you're never going to be able to control the other person. And you shouldn't really want to. It should, if the best soul searching is when you search yourself and learning how to reach out to others. And like I said, it's a lesson that I'm still learning. It's something that I have to work on every day, but it has served me well thus far. So I hope to continue to grow using all the things that you and I have talked about.
The word fairness is coming up. I'm thinking of those Greek notions of balance and justice, just as it's individuals and others, it's strengths, leveraging your strengths, and also developing whatever gaps or weaknesses exist. We had this focus over time on the gaps in our careers, and I think it's more balanced view now. So thank you for the cool image in that example, and appreciate the good work that you're doing, and keep flourishing.
Thank you. I appreciate all your help.